grapes. Now.
If you or a loved one has been suffering from moderate to severe plaque psoriasis, that must really suck. If you cannot afford your medication, AstraZeneca may be able to help. So
One more time.
One more time.
No!
Good.
Okay, good.
Episode 3 of the World Solutions Tangents with Problems podcast, or Tangent for long. Today we're going to talk about human obsolescence in light of recent developments in robotic technology and artificial intelligence. Isn't that great?
That's so great. Great.
Grapes.
They're grapes! Kid wants to buy Frosted Flakes. Pours out cereal. Out come grapes.
That's some milk with that.
I said they were grapes!
All right. We gotta start with the national anthem. So why don't you do that? No. No.
Ruby and Max. Max and Ruby. Ruby and Max. Max and Ruby. Ruby and her little brother Max.
That
Why
must
don't you-
really suck.
To come up with some other lyrics.
Those are the only.
Max and Ruby. Ruby and Max.
Okay, that's enough. We don't want to
Alright.
kill it.
Let's not do too much work here today. Alright, we'll put the actual national anthem. Okay, that's enough. Mailbag. Today we have a letter from Danny from Arkansas.
And he says,
Max and Ruby. Ruby and Max.
Ruby and Max. Max and Ruby. Ruby and Max. Max and Ruby.
Come on! For the viewer, I was just conducting really quickly. You need to keep that video handy, because that's going to be really funny. Like 30 minutes into the podcast.
on 2 times speed. I can make it like 4 times speed if I just bring it into like Adobe Premiere.
Good. Great. I'm not really interested in that.
I'm so interested in that.
She goes,
please go on.
Okay, as I was saying,
Robots.
if we expand
invest
the
in
budget,
a timeshare
I am so interested.
in that.
Now, where's my meeting? Where's that lady?
Mr. Greco's probably outside.
Yeah, I think he is.
He is outside.
Maybe we should invite him in.
Danny from Arkansas says, maybe we should let Mr. Greco in.
And then we have another letter this week. And this one is from Allison.
She writes, Allison, Allison, Allison. Allison, Allison, Allison. Allison, Allison, Allison.
Quiet there. Quiet on that, Allison.
Allison. Allison. Allison. Allison. Allison. Allison. Allison.
How much longer is this gonna be?
Keeps going on for pages.
All right. Any other mail? I mean, we got 2 repeat letters from last week, and Danny from Arkansas just sent in Max and Ruby. So anything else?
No, I got nothing.
Good.
Great.
Follow up from last week. Do you have anything that you want to talk about?
What did we talk about last week?
I don't know.
Education?
We talked about education.
We talked about education and bullying
Yeah.
and Logan Paul and Crocs and eggs.
I think we'll have to revisit that topic in the future because I listened back to it and I wasn't exactly happy with all the arguments that I made.
Okay.
Okay, good. That's great.
That's really not great.
I'm-
I'm not okay with this.
So. Mappy!
Exactly!
So let's talk about human obsolescence and artificial intelligence and robots. Why don't you start us off?
Well, one big concern is that... What? What? I haven't said anything, and you're already laughing.
That's the point!
Anyway,
In the beginning.
Neptune died. God isn't real.
And so. Time for a little shout out.
So one big concern that people have about robots and artificial intelligence is that they're going to start replacing jobs of humans,
Like your job.
like
They-
my job.
They
like,
already are.
Exactly.
For the viewer.
And then,
He works as a financial analyst on Wall Street. But he also works as a cashier at a supermarket. So that's just sort of a side gig.
so, that's just like the summer job.
Let me ask you, if you go to a supermarket, do
Yeah.
you tend to go to the self-checkout or the person?
I tend to go to the person if I'm checking out something, if I want to buy stuff for myself.
Do you only buy things at the place that you work?
No.
Okay, so this is at all stores.
Yeah.
Because if you were only going to, if you were buying things at the place you work, I get if you went to the people, because
Yeah.
you know the people.
And it's fine.
But
yeah.
it's just everywhere you
Yeah.
do this. Interesting.
Are you saying that's kind of similar to how we want other things to do things for us? How we don't want to do things ourselves?
Exactly. I was going to say, I usually go to the self-checkout
Really?
at most stores, yeah.
Well,
Usually because I'm not buying a lot.
okay, yeah.
I'm usually only buying like one thing, but and it's not like I am averse. Is that the right word? I don't know. It's not like I don't want the social interaction. It's more just
It's faster.
it could be faster. It could be easier.
Because that's one...
Actually, it's not easier. I have to do more. But
I've noticed that people who take the self-checkout typically, obviously, don't have a lot of things. If they have a full shopping cart of groceries, then they're not going to do that all themselves because that's a lot of work and quite impossible. But,
it's quite possible.
well, it's very possible, but no one wants to do it. And except I have to. And typically people just go to the self-checkout because they're in a hurry, they just need to grab one item, and they need to get out of the store because they have somewhere else to be. Usually that's what I see.
Yeah, that's usually my situation. So we're already seeing it in the service industry with cashiers. And I worked as a cashier at a garden center, and that's going to be a little more difficult.
Worked? You don't work there anymore?
Yeah, that's true. I am no longer working there. I'm sorry this upsets you so much.
What? What's this? What is what? You're not doing anything!
Is this a Snapchat?
Sydney, where is your music?
What's this? It's going to be longer before they can automate my job because there, people just wheel up a whole cart of plants and the barcodes are in random locations and sometimes there aren't even barcodes on them and you have to look them up and you have to talk to a person.
So
and say
usually,
what-
this isn't very related, but
Okay, so just cut me off and talk about
No,
something
sorry,
unrelated.
Sorry. Continue. If you
No,
have something
I was
to say.
done.
All right, then what's the problem?
What's the point of all of this?
So, again, unrelated. Do you have to like walk out from the register and then like hold your gun and then scan stuff?
Yeah, so they give me a gun.
And then
The registers are set up in such a way that the computer is towards the wall and it's just sort of open.
oh,
There's not a counter between me and the customer.
okay.
So the service industry is in trouble,
Mm-hmm.
even with things like that even aren't cashiers. It's just like waiters and waitresses at restaurants. They put tablets on the table where people can order things, and
Like at Friendly's.
yes, like at Friendly's. And I think the entire job market is replaceable. I don't think there's a single job that couldn't be replaced by a robot or a computer. How does that make you feel?
Max and Ruby. Ruby and Max. Max and Ruby. Max and Ruby. Ruby and little brother Max. Max and Ruby.
Ta-da-da!
Not again.
Again! Max and Ruby! Ruby and Max. Do you think there are jobs that couldn't be replaced?
I was trying to think of one, but I guess if you think about it, a new job can be
Well,
eliminated and replaced with
the most methodical jobs will go first, like cashiering and even driving. That's
Yeah.
being replaced right now with self-driving cars. We already have those. We're just waiting till the technology becomes good enough, which will be probably within the next 5 years. And then you think of something like a professional, like a surgeon or a lawyer,
Okay.
but like with a surgeon, all of the maneuvers that it needs to make are incredibly precise, and there's a standard procedure that you
So-
follow during a surgery.
Do you think it would be more reliable if we had robots doing surgery rather than humans, because then they wouldn't be prone to human error?
Just like human drivers are how self-driving cars are a lot safer than human drivers.
Mm.
Robot surgeons don't get tired, and they don't
They don't
like,
feel emotions.
they don't
so-
feel emotions towards whatever patients. I mean, I know that people aren't really supposed to operate on
Yeah.
their mother. I don't know.
They're
Maybe they are.
dead.
Maybe
Mother.
they can. She's dead. Okay.
Now operate.
But
cut her open.
the big thing is that doctors right now can only rely on the knowledge that they have learned. But if you have a computer as your doctor, that computer can pull on the collective knowledge of every human that's ever existed and
Yeah.
give you a better diagnosis. And
Is that
deliver
also-
better surgery.
Relating to like upgrades. So like if you have a fleet of doctor surgeons, then you could just have all of them learn
Exactly.
some new
yeah.
thing. I don't know,
Some
like
new
a new
disease,
organ. I don't know.
Some new organ. We're constantly discovering new body parts.
Well, there was one that was found just recently.
Planet 9?
No, a new organ.
Oh yeah, Joopy.
Joopy. Saddy.
Okay, we're not gonna go through the lineup again. We've done that every episode so far.
Exactly, and you've dropped your chair every episode, but you keep
Joopy?
doing that. For those of you who don't know, you should know. Because I just explained it. I was going to say something else.
Yeah, good. Okay.
Was, yes.
So, yeah, they can draw on the collective knowledge, and that means that these robots are not only replacing the jobs, but they're also better at them. And that's two incentives why this will happen. They're
So-
cheaper than humans
Yeah.
to pay, because they cost pennies per hour for electricity, and they might have a higher upfront cost, but they pay for themselves, and they're better at the jobs. Self-driving cars are
They
better
probably
than
last
humans,
longer.
and they last longer, and they don't need to take vacations, and they don't sleep, and they don't take breaks, and they don't need lunch, and everything that companies have to pay for.
Okay,
And they
so-
don't need insurance.
Assuming that all surgeons were replaced with robots, what would we do with surgeons, humans? Because then, if we keep replacing everyone with some form of computer, then everyone's going to be jobless, and then what are they going to do? Nothing. live their lives.
Chicos, why are you asking me?
I don't know the answer.
I know, Chris.
That's great.
I think that was the first time we revealed my name on this podcast.
For those of you who don't know, his name is not Chris. In fact, it's... What was it? You made up something.
Max and Ruby. Ruby and Max. Spiffy McGee.
What did I say?
Johnson Wiener Schnitzel.
The fact that you remember that.
Finish the sentence.
No, finish the surgery!
The fact that you remember that.
What? Implies what?
That's a good question. What are we gonna do with people?
Ship them away? Discover new
South
things?
Korea.
No, that's not what I was going for. I don't know, relating to space things, you can sort of just not do anything, like a permanent vacation, but then...
Where do you get the money?
Exactly.
Exactly. The problem is that the people who maintain the robots are going to become the richest people in the world, and then the people who aren't are going to become the poorest people in the world because they won't have jobs. And then eventually the robots could start maintaining
Computers
the
need
robots.
to run on software,
Yeah.
on some sort of program.
Mm-hmm.
So would it be a good idea to educate people to learn how to build, how to control robots, and then they could have a job while not having to do other jobs? But then at that point, you can replace a robot with that person to control another robot.
There
and
are
then,
already artificial intelligences that can code,
yeah.
that can write software, and that can, like, and repairing the robots physically won't be a problem either, because we already see factories of car manufacturers. Like, the robots themselves assemble the cars, not fully yet,
Yeah.
but I don't see any reason why they couldn't. And
So-
then they can just repair themselves. And that, if, like I said, the rich will become richer, but eventually they'll get replaced too. Well, I say that. See, I say that.
You said.
You said.
What did you say?
The
You said
question
nothing!
Was. ¿Cuántos años tiene Shakira?
41.
Shakira tiene 41 años.
Escuchar.
Una vez más.
I'm really comfortable talking about this.
That's great.
Oh, you have to blurt her name out because I said it.
Oh. This is incredible.
Mr. Incredible. There's someone outside.
Mrs. Sands, we didn't ask to be saved. Mrs. Sands, we didn't want to be saved.
And the injuries received from Mr. Incredible's actions
So
so cold
cold.
causes him daily pain. Hey, I saved your life. You didn't save my life. You ruined my death.
Look what I've done. Now you're going off on the...
Murmuring. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
So you said, okay, so
You said...
you didn't say anything.
The question...
¿Cuántos años tienes?
I said that the people on top are going to be even more on top. And then the question is... The question...
Just spit it out.
The question was... Are the robots going to take over them? And I think...
So become self-aware.
become self-aware, and I think that's a big question in this too, is will humans, because it's going to be bad if all the humans lose their job, but it's going to happen, so but that'll be bad enough. But then if the robots take over, then it's like
And then they start.
we're out of options.
Mm.
So
So what do we do then?
so what do we do?
Pack up.
Pack up.
Pack up. Pack up.
Pack.
aggressively.
She goes like this.
So, you said that there's no. Stop.
Stop it!
Stop. This probably isn't a good example, but
Good.
entertainment. Are we gonna have robots replace that? Such as like athletes and sports. Are we just gonna have
Robots can do more amazing things than humans,
Right, but-
athletically.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think that part of the reason that people. All right. So part of the reason that people watch sports is because it's kind of weird to say this at this point, but it's because there are other humans there. And
Okay.
they're watching humans. But when you think about it, sports are really. They're really fragile in the sense that they're essentially just, let's see what this person can do given these certain boundaries. Most sports aren't about measuring the peak of human abilities. They're about, because if that were true, then they would
There
allow,
wouldn't be any rules.
then they would allow doping. Because
Anything.
that's like, I feel like that's not any different than training at higher altitudes, or even like eating a certain diet before you race. You're putting a substance into you that's going to help you. And in that case, they just want to see what humans can do. And so when we talk about robots, it's like, yeah, I don't know if all of the humans will go away, and if they will, it certainly won't happen as quickly as other industries, but eventually people might just want to see what the robots can do. And
So testing their limitations
Yeah.
in a set of limitations.
but even at the point, like the unemployment rate in the Great Depression was 25%.
yeah.
Which doesn't sound like a lot, but it had a huge impact. And even if athletes and stand-up comedians, which, jokes, although complicated, are something that can be taught and modeled.
a lot of things about humor is like relatability, timing,
Relatability, timing. That's it.
There was another thing I was gonna say. It's another term.
Relatability.
What's the word?
Timing.
No.
Relatability.
Yes.
Joopy.
Yuri, Sadie.
All right.
Flutie.
I guess you could say it.
I missed Neppy. What's the word? How could I not think of it? What's the word?
Chicken!
Delivery! That's it!
Oh.
Oh my god. Took me forever.
Yeah, it did. Delivery, no, not reliability. Delivery,
Relatability.
relatability, and timing. Yeah.
I'd say those are three core key elements
quirky.
to humor.
And even things like
Quirky.
music, and even quirky. Even things like music are incredibly creative, but you follow a simple chord structure, and lots of people borrow melodies from each other, and
So everything
like
can be
that.
sort of simplified into some
exactly
step-by-step algorithm
and
pattern.
I was gonna say, you said even if these entertainment jobs are the last to hold on, they make up a fraction of the economy, and the world cannot survive definitionally on an economy of stand-up comedians.
Correct. So, because I was sort of getting to the point where, are we going to miss that sort of human feel? Is everything just going to become chrome? Everything is chrome in the future! All 486 of them.
Alone.
I gotta get out of here!
Yeah, that's a good point. I think people will. And
So
I'd
are-
be curious to see the people who are born and grow up in that era. Do they
Are they just going to be totally isolated and only know interactions with AI?
I don't think they'll only, because they'll still have a family. But I wonder if they won't long for it because they won't really know what they're missing, but they might. It'll be different.
Because I'm thinking it's kind of like we were talking about this last episode, how when kids didn't have smartphones back in the day, and then you went outside and you played with your friends, and that was a great time. But now kids are being on the internet, having their screens in front of them, and Fortnite take over. Apocalypse.
Snowpocalypse.
Snow White. Apocalypse.
Snow White, the sequel. Snowpocalypse.
So, is
Blindside.
human...
The 2009 sports drama.
I said it last time, so why don't you say it? That is, if you want to.
Stage lifts up as the band reaches intense climax of Micah performance, gravitates and flies towards the camera, and at the back of the auditorium, scene ends with Star Wars outro. And for the Hopkinton High School Concert Band, a silver medal. Now, what can we learn from this?
Nothing! So, are we going to lose maybe not total, but a lot
Drama
of
Island.
human connection and, I don't know, develop relationships with metal instead of flesh?
If you want to put it that way.
I don't know.
I think we'll develop relationships. We won't lose our human relationships, I don't think. I certainly hope not. I take the opinion that it's I don't really want a future where robots are just like citizens. I don't think we should make them self-aware. I think that's kind of a cruel thing to do.
That's a cruel thing to do.
Yeah.
Instead, keep them oblivious. And
You're not keeping them oblivious
if they don't know in the first place.
You're not No. It's not even that they don't know. It's that they couldn't even have the capacity to know.
Okay.
That's like saying I'm keeping that marker on that whiteboard over there oblivious of its existence if I'm not giving it the ability to perceive its existence. Like, it's a marker. It's a toaster. You don't need to give it self-awareness.
You don't need
Spanish.
Why are you here?
And I feel like these robots and these machines should be for utility. And
So
not
keep them as a
for
tool rather than
a
an
relationship.
Ally. Okay.
Because if you want a relationship, talk to a human. They're pretty interesting. And I think it could get really scary if we do make them self-aware. That the relationships thing is kind of just a side point to the fact that if we make them self-aware, then they could
Do
take
bad
over.
things.
Yep. So we were talking about what we would do with all these people who were unemployed, and putting aside the money for now, we might get back to that. Do you think that if people had enough money, somehow, that they could just live without working?
To a degree, I think. I think once you work for a long time, because you go through school, and then you go through maybe college, and then you get a job, and then you work until you retire, and then for 10, 15 years of retirement, you just kind of do nothing until you die. So if it's going to be like that, where it's like some big extended retirement where you don't have to work at all for the rest of your life, then I think that some people, not all people, could be just fine.
What about those people who couldn't?
I think some people need something to do in order to not really feel important, but
No, I think
just
that's,
to
I
do
think that's
something,
an accurate
not
statement, actually.
because it's not fun to just do nothing.
It's nothing.
Buy it.
Mom! What was that, honey? I don't feel like I could be one of those people who could do nothing.
Forever.
Forever. I feel like I would need
So
something
you-
to
so
do,
you need-
something
you would
to
need a job.
work towards. Yeah.
Okay.
So it makes it easier when you compare it to retirement because people do that all the time. But I mean, you could take up hobbies, but if I would have to give myself goals within my hobbies, and then
They're no longer hobbies. It's like,
well, then it's kind of like I'm making work for myself, but I'm not getting paid for it. But the pay is kind of my incentive to a degree to do this. I
Because you
feel like
enjoy
I feel like a lot of people would have trouble in this
Arousal
world
period.
finding they could find hobbies, but I feel like they'd have trouble finding one that they could see through to the end, because a lot of people might just drop it halfway through and say, well, I'm not really making any money, and I'm
well,
not
you could
really,
pick up something else then.
yeah,
You could try something new.
but
But then it's just a continuous cycle, you're saying, of trying something new, finding out it doesn't work, dropping it.
I guess it
wondering what
would
to
be
do.
fine. It's kind of this huge shift in what the purpose of humans are, because right now our purpose is to
Work, make money.
work, make money, and have kids and support them, and maybe make an impact on the world around us
Until we die.
until you die.
I'm not dying.
She goes,
I'm
dying. Driver, are we too loud back here? I said driver.
Yes!
What do you mean, we? I thought we agreed.
We!
I thought we agreed you were gonna pretend that I had a full prom bus.
I paid you $12,000 to sit here for 10 minutes to pretend I'm going to prom.
Sorry. Yeah, could you guys turn the music down?
Sorry!
Nope! Was that late? It's a huge shift in the meaning of humankind, and then in that future, we wouldn't have the initiative or the incentive to make an impact on the world because the robots are doing that and they're better at it.
Mm-hmm.
I guess we would still have the I can't even remember the word. I guess we would have the motivation to have kids still, but that's just kind of like a biological thing. It's not like the humans are doing anything.
Yeah.
We're sort of just living, and there's no monetary reason to work or live.
So
Northeastern. Everybody go to Northeastern.
black paint everywhere.
Let's take a look inside the admissions office. Nope.
Okay. In
National Treasure, Nicolas Cage.
National Treasure 2.
National Treasure 5.
I don't think there is a 5.
Save Maria.
Kill Maria.
You could be the top end.
So, what was I saying?
Car. What happened to the car?
Oh, no.
2020, 25.
No.
25. Check your email, please.
Now you're just naming things.
Jason, Lucy, Molly,
I'm right
Amanda.
there. I'm right next to Mr. Graber. I was having appendix problems yesterday.
At 3 in the morning?
No, right
With-
now.
With religious ow.
With religiousness.
Ness.
Nest.
Nest
A
thermostat.
bird. Nest.
Birds.
Okay, hold on. The moment's gone.
Bum, bum, ba-da-da-da-da-da-da.
Dun 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 dun.
Let's let him just swing to it, shall we?
The exact same thing.
Da-da-da-da-bow. Ba-da-da-da-da-bow. Oh, we're gonna play that tonight.
OP, yes. Small lunch. Yep.
If you have trouble paying for your medication, AstraZeneca may be able to help.
But probably not.
That's the commercial. Small lunch. Yep. OxyClean gets the tough stains out.
OxyClean stains your clothes.
Now.
Hi, Billy Mays here with the handy switch. OxyClean stains your clothes. Keeps the
The
tough
handy
stains.
switch. The budget.
20.
20.
19. 18. 14.
You said
8. 1.
2.
5.
Alright, now we're just saying numbers.
Okay, so robots.
Well, the question was... the problem that we have to solve is 1,
What are we
8, 14, 17, 18, 20.
No, yeah, I see it.
No! Yes! The question was...
What was the question?
We have
You
to-
haven't
we
told
have
me
to
yet.
solve the problem of what are we going to do with all these humans when they don't have jobs. And then the other problem is that how are we going to prevent artificial intelligence from taking over the world? Go.
Go.
North Korea. We should get another North Korea question in here. We solved that one in less than a minute. Okay. Question number 3. Should North and South Korea unite?
Demilitarized zone.
You see, that's a good one.
See, that's not related to anything.
Ever. Now.
You don't need Spanish.
And if you can't do calculus, then why are you in Spanish? Let's start with question 1.
What was question 1?
Should North question
Exist.
Question 1. Should North and South exist? The concept. Question 1 was, what are we going to do with all these people? So, do you think it's fine if we just let them live their lives?
I think some people will find a way. Are you saying that everyone will be equal in social status?
I think, well...
Do you think they should be?
mm,
If no one's working?
well, the primary way we determine social status these days is money.
Yes.
And we won't have money.
So you're saying there will be no money?
I don't have money. Well, okay, so we kind of skipped
Well,
over that.
okay.
Let's go to that. What do people do for money?
Work.
But the robots are taking over. So buttons.
people give money to be nice.
They don't have any money though to give. They don't have a job.
So people print money.
Good.
Chicos, vamos a imprimir dinero. Printer from the closet.
really comfortable with this? Oh, I just said a name. That's 2 times.
And I said, and I just said.
I don't think you did say it. You said it before. But
Well, now
we
I
weren't
just said
recording. So you really screwed that one up. You know, you want to get any other names out here while we're at it?
Mr.
Alright, the viewers aren't going to get that because
they're
you just
not.
repeated some names, but they're going to be beeped out anyway. All those people just show up at the door right now. There's the potential.
She goes, my tire is leaking.
Fix it. There's the potential that the government could just hand out money.
Print money and then hand it out.
Print dinero. Well, if the robots are doing everything for them, I mean, everything is technically getting done. But then the... Okay, so
Okay, alright.
you could have universal basic income, where everyone gets paid a certain amount of money each year.
Yeah.
And then that would put everyone on a level playing field, monetarily. We would definitely come up with some other way to create social classes, though. That's just what humans do. But I was just thinking about that. If the robots have taken over all of the jobs, then that means that... And this is far in the future, because I think politicians are also a job. I don't see people electing a robot anytime soon,
Okay.
but it could happen.
You could have robots run.
That's true.
A politician.
You might not elect them, but they could.
You're essentially electing one
could be in the
human
background.
politician and then an army.
Yeah. So
army
it's
of robots.
But I don't think it's impossible that in the future, some people could vote for a computer, because the computer may well be doing the job much better.
Yeah.
And it's a steep curve to get over, electing not a human.
Yeah.
I don't see it as impossible, though. So then the question is, well, if the government's handing out money and the government's run by robots, then why are the robots giving the money to the humans if the humans serve no purpose on Earth? And then where are they even getting that money from? Because the robots are just working at companies, but it's like... I guess that would still work.
Well,
because people have money and they can buy things, and then the companies still make them. But then it's just like the money's getting circled.
Well, the money can just go around.
Yeah.
Because that's essentially what money does. It just goes from one person to another person and then keeps going through this ongoing cycle. But you said that...
You said.
We said...
That's
Freya said...
It's gonna be that you gotta beep that one out too. Actually, I don't know if we do.
Freya?
Yeah.
Is she gonna listen to this? You might have to beep that out.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, I was gonna we should make the title of this one. You said
You said Max and Ruby. In quotation marks.
one quotation mark. Viewers aren't gonna get that because that was a joke before we started recording.
But that's okay.
But they're not gonna get any of this, actually.
We have no viewers.
My-
Nobody's listening.
My tire is leaking. What does that mean?
Northeastern. What about it?
What about me?
But what about Miss? Is she gonna be replaced with robots?
I deliberately didn't say the name.
No. You're gonna have to do a lot of editing. I'm sorry.
I said. You said.
So you said that robots won't have the capacity to
Trying to laugh without smiling.
You said.
Find another way to say it.
According to you,
Okay, good.
robots won't have the capacity to understand that they're anything more than a tool for humans. So would we risk even being, I don't know, I don't want to say overthrown, but concerned at the fact that robots are giving us money? Because what do they know? They don't know any better.
Yeah, that's a good point. I was kind of attributing human-like qualities to them if they were in government, but they don't necessarily have to have human emotions and be self-aware to be in government. They're
Are they just
essentially
thinking of reason?
they're essentially just
Logic?
sitting there making decisions based on certain variables that are fed to them, and it's not about what they want. It's about
What's
whatever
best?
whatever
What's the
data
best outcome?
whatever the data
Yeah.
says. Okay, so that's fine. And she goes, "That's fine."
That's not fine.
She goes,
I'm not fine.
She goes, "That's
I'm
not
going to do it.
for the viewer."
That was so loud.
That was not as loud as some other things you've said. So, in that event, yeah, I guess I could see a future where people are just handed out money. I'm still not entirely comfortable with the they'll just find whatever they want to do argument. Mostly because I don't think I would be comfortable with that, but I guess it could happen. When I first thought about this, like a couple of years ago, I thought that, oh, well, you know, the robots can stay here and do all the heavy work, and then humans will just go off and explore space.
Yeah.
But robots,
was-
robots can do that better because, like, probes, and they don't need oxygen. And
Yeah, I was thinking that too, but then I kind of thought,
that is a world that I would live in,
where
human-
robots can explore and
Actually,
we
well,
can stay here,
Yeah.
so we don't have to go into space. You're saying?
No. I would live in a
No,
world.
no.
No.
No, that's not what you're saying. Hold on.
No, hold on. He's getting a text.
Getting an email. Sorry. I mean, it's not that important, but I hate having the notification anyway.
Don't worry. We'll wait. I have to beep that one out too.
Oh, it's from.
I have to beep that one out too.
No, you don't. Well, maybe you do, guys.
Oh my god. So, that is a world I would be comfortable living in if the robots did all the heavy work and humans were just space explorers.
Space explorers.
Yes.
Okay.
Then it would be like Star Trek or
So
Star
in
Trek.
what?
or
So. Okay.
Star
okay,
Trek.
Okay. So
the budget. They're great.
humans would have jobs. You're saying if they went into space, or would they just kind
Yeah.
of exist?
We'd kind of
in
have to
space?
we'd kind of have to figure out the logistics of it. I didn't really picture them having jobs. I sort of pictured it's like everyone has a spaceship because they're so cheap to make now because robots are making them,
Yeah.
and we would have been that far along in the space economy.
So everyone
So
would leave
everyone is
everywhere?
kind of just free to go. Except we'd have to invent faster than light travel for that because there's no way that somebody's getting out of this or this solar system anytime soon. So that's kind of a prerequisite. But I pictured that people could just go out and do whatever they want. But then people are going to try and take land, and then people are going to make nations again, and then people are going to, like...
I like how we reference everything back to previous episodes.
Russia and the United States.
What about?
Yeah, don't say it.
I'm not gonna say it.
Okay.
No.
See, the viewers aren't going to get to hear any of Viewers.
Listeners,
Danny.
Danny Phantom.
Can I get wrong? See, he's Danny Phantom.
He's a phantom. Runs into the wall. He's not a phantom.
I don't think that's gonna happen though, the space exploration thing, because I guess it could happen. But there's
It's not gonna happen.
the reason
Well, I guess it could
the
happen.
reason that the robots are taking over is because they are more economically viable than humans. And if it's more economically viable to send robots out into space to explore, then I guess that would happen. But it's different because it's kind of it's not really a money society. It's not really an economy anymore.
Yeah.
It's like people are just paid, and money isn't really a concern.
So,
The other thing is that
so I have. Okay, you finish your thought, and then
it's
I'll.
kind of like my capitalist thinking. If we're just all universal basic income and the robots are doing everything, will we still progress as a society? I guess.
So I
Kind of.
It kind of relates to your point. Robots.
Yeah, that was good. I was thinking the same thing.
Exactly. See, the budget. She goes, this is what I want. Christmas. Yo pienso que. So robots will have all. Let's think hypothetically. Robots have
This is
every
all
job,
hypothetical. Yeah.
and humans don't have to work ever again. Are we gonna progress as a world? Because if we are gonna progress, we need someone to discover. We need someone to come up with new ideas, new things. And are we just gonna leave that to the robots, or are we going to learn new things and then teach it to the robots so that way they can do it at maybe a more efficient rate or something like that? And in that case, let's say that robots can discover, I don't know,
Faster than light travel.
sure, we'll say that. Would
Guess
we
you're not
need
happy with that
education anymore? Because robots are doing everything now, so what's the point of
Yeah,
even learning?
That's a good point. I mean, basic education, like for language, but
Anything past like 5th grade?
I don't know.
I don't know the answer!
I think we would still be educated.
Yeah.
But
Up
there-
until high school? Up
Yeah.
until college? Up until grad school?
up until elderly, up until death.
We would go to school for the rest of our lives.
People might just
Die.
so they people might just die.
And that's okay!
No. People, I don't think we're just gonna get rid of education, even in this virtually no
Yes.
money society, because it's kind of so contrary to what we've always done. And people might get a high school education, and then it might be just like college. Right now, people go get an education in something that they might want to do with their life, even though it's not a job. They might just want to know more about some hobby that they're interested in, and then they can start doing that.
It's really loud. Hold on. Sorry. Okay.
What's loud?
Well, got a text message and it almost dinged until I turned it down. So,
Okay, so I think there are a lot of situations that could happen here. So let's try and assess the situations one by one and go with the one that's most likely so that we can reach a conclusion here. Okay.
Okay.
So, number one, robots have taken most, if not all, of the jobs. Do humans... I don't know, what's the question?
continue working.
Well,
Continue. Well, probably not. But
Yeah, they don't have jobs.
we'll just part of that. Just throw that in the question. Get an education. Have motivation to do anything. Be happy.
Okay, so first of all, do humans get paid by the government? Or or
You're saying just like random
just
grants.
handouts. No, like some basic salary, if you want to call it that, that the government pays them every year to live. Or, I mean, what's the other option? People just are really poor and live terrible lives.
Nothing is valued as anything, and everything's free. But that would be...
That wouldn't work.
No, it wouldn't work. Because
Okay.
that's communism.
All right. So it seems like, oh yeah, well, people are too selfish. Okay.
Exactly.
I'm sorry.
Exactly.
I'm sorry, Evan. Okay, but
Sorry.
I don't buy it.
Armed revolution.
Maybe we can have him on the podcast sometime. And he can talk about that.
I've heard stories about him in Gov just going on huge tangents about how voting is stupid, and if we really wanted to be a nation where we elect our leaders, we would get rid of voting or something like that. I don't know. He doesn't like voting because he
How
doesn't
would
think
we
it's
elect
he,
them?
he doesn't think it's fair. He says if we liked leaders, we shouldn't vote. We
Shouldn't vote for them.
not shouldn't, but we shouldn't have to be able to vote for them in order to show our likeness, and we should act violently and
Oh.
do whatever free will we want to, because that's the only way to live life. Which sounds
Obviously.
very unsafe.
That is the only way to live, because we're not living right now.
She goes,
I'm not exactly...
alive.
No.
Let me read the vocab.
No.
On the board writes now.
Do you guys know this word? So let's assume that the government hands out money to people, universal basic income. Then, what do people do with their lives? Do they just get hobbies? Is there some sort of system that comes around for people to do things
I think
with their lives?
that even if we are not working, we're going to find a way to I don't know. Create, that's not really the word, but some sort of status hierarchy where
Yeah.
some people are valued more than others, and then more people with, obviously more social status will be able to do more things, and those with lower social status based on some factor will be able to do less things. And it won't necessarily be related to money, but it'll still exist.
Yeah. I mean, I might be... I just had a weird thought. I might be kind of going back on my original point where I said I don't believe there is a single job that couldn't be replaced. I kind of am. But I was just thinking, so we have this universal basic income society where people are all paid some certain salary each year by the government. And then robots have hypothetically taken over every single job that humans did, including something like stand-up comedy. Well, then, if you have a group of humans who are all friends, and this one is exceptionally funny to all of them, and then he starts to gain a following, and then people want to listen to this guy, even though there is perfectly good comedy elsewhere in the world being done by robots.
Is that just because he's human?
Maybe, or it's because people don't necessarily always... There's room for people who aren't the best. The robots might be the best, but there are still people who are worse than the robots. Just
Yeah.
like right now, we have a best comedian. I don't know who that is, and I don't think anybody does. But then there are people who are worse than that. So then people
But
might
they still
start,
do it.
Yeah, people might start following him, and then they might start paying to see him, like paying him, and then we've sort of
But
built
does
something
that become
up
a
again.
job again?
It does.
Yeah.
I think so. So
there's
robots technically took the job, but there would still be room for humans in that position. So that's like one job.
So this is unrelated. It's very unrelated, actually, and it probably adds nothing to the conversation. But when you think about like you go to a restaurant, right, and you order a meal, and then
What?
Yeah. What are you doing?
What do you do at restaurants? I order meals.
What kind of stupid idea is that? You order a meal and you pay the tab, and then you tip your waiter or waitress. That's out of, obviously, social norms, but
Yeah.
that's not part of the job. That's like a perk, right? So, relating to your comedian thing, is money just a perk for not having for a job that doesn't exist?
I
Is
don't
it just
really,
some
I don't
random
really
thing?
understand the distinction.
Yeah, I'm
Like, how is it? I feel like well, it's part of it's part of a waiter's job to be. Well, I guess it's not technically part of their job, but they get paid more if they are nice to the customers. So it kind of is part of their job. And then that money is part of their salary, because often waiters are not paid as much as other people
because the government knows that
because
waiters and waitresses
they
get tipped. I'm just trying to think. You're saying like exchange of money will eventually develop even if we get rid of it.
Even if we get rid of all those jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like there are certain circumstances which could
So
result in that. In which case,
could we
I don't.
only pay robots? Could we not pay humans at all? Because then,
I don't think we would lock ourselves into that system.
okay. Because if everyone just has money, and you just have it, you have to spend it on something. Otherwise, it's not really worth anything.
I mean, it technically is universal basic income. Basic being the key word. It's enough to live. But I guess it doesn't necessarily have to be like the average income at the poverty line. It depends on how rich the nation is and how much money they can afford to give all their people. And if it's more than they need to survive, then I guess there's room to pay other humans for things. Okay, so we've got that settled.
My waiter thing went nowhere.
No, it didn't. And then about space exploration, I feel like that's going to be robots.
Okay. Exploring space.
Yeah.
Okay.
What about you? Humans or robots? We're basically
Probably robots.
we're basically just trying to figure out humans' positions in the future. Education, I already stated that I think we would continue high school.
I
and
think
then
I agree with you
maybe
saying that you
education.
need a basic education. Like obviously you need to know how to function in some cases. You need to know how to speak, you need to know how to read, write, all very general knowledge. What's the word I'm looking for?
skills.
Yeah. Skills.
Skills.
Kills.
Kill Bill.
Very basic skills.
Like killing Bill.
It sounded like a weed whacker on a chalkboard.
What? What?
So if you think about it like a waiter,
So if you think about it like a weed whacker on a chalkboard,
the chalkboard is the perk.
the chalkboard is like the past participle, and it's like you're talking
Participle.
about the preterite in like the subject of the object.
But since you're the one talking to them, you need the past subjunctive because it's a mood about.
So I can't give you the point.
I can't pass you.
So I can't teach.
Because this is impossible.
Because you don't need Spanish.
To live.
And then why are you in Spanish?
Would people all come to one universal language?
Mm.
English?
I feel like that should be a whole nother episode.
Okay, we'll leave that to another thing.
Okay, we won't go in depth about it, but just state your opinion. Will we, and which language will it be?
Yes, and I'd say English.
Me too. Okay,
Yeah.
we'll talk about it in the future. So then, I don't know if I should get into this, but then it's really all about what is the purpose of humans? What niche do they fill in the universe? And
And
it's
if robots
you
are
could,
complete, sorry.
well, you could even question what role they fill right now. Like, what are we all doing here?
Existing,
Why?
no reason, because evolution made us habitable on this planet.
Why?
So evolution did that.
Why?
And what's the point?
Why?
I'm saying okay. So
Which is also part of the reason why we might send robots out into the universe to discover the mysteries of it and possibly understand. I'm putting aside religion here, of course. Possibly understand why we might be here. And even then, uncovering some mysteries of the universe might give more insight into some religions that we might have. Because there are a lot of question marks on both sides of that coin.
both sides of the coin.
On the one side of that coin.
The one side of the coin. A coin has only one side. It's a sphere.
It doesn't have any sides.
It's a 2D figure.
Pluty.
Yuri.
Nippy.
Joopy.
Joopy's the best one. Alright, well, maybe we'll talk about the role of humans in the future. I think we answered that first question pretty well. We
Okay.
stated what we think is the most likely things. How about that second question? How do we prevent artificial intelligence from taking over? Because...
Don't-
Well, what were you just going to say?
Don't get too excited. If inventors are inventing things like, hey, we can do this, we can have something do this. Eventually, maybe we'll get to a point when we're kind of crazy, and we might do things that we will regret. So, no limitations. End it off at a certain point, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So that way it's better to not take the risk than take the risk and risk.
It's better to play Risk, Chicos.
Chicos, is this how you play Risk? I win. All my cubes are on Asia. So that's gonna be for
Asia!
What was I saying? Limitations. So, I think that the path we're going, like, technology is advancing
Yes, it is.
astronomically.
Astute observation. I have to beep that out. Stupid observation.
With myths.
What was
That
that?
was bad. That was bad.
With myth.
I was gonna say, Mr. Hi, it's Mr.
Oh, you can say that because he's a soul.
Oh, come on. Hi, it's Mr. Anderson. Remember, I almost said Mr. Mr. Anderson.
Hi, it's Mr. Anderson. It's kind of insensitive.
And welcome back to AP Chemistry Essential, the video 3 about the mole. Now, the mole is a very important subject.
Well, I hope you learned something. Why do people listen to this?
Nobody listens to this.
Nobody. The viewers.
Danny!
I think we should have some restrictions on artificial intelligence, but how do we enforce that? Because it only takes one person to develop it, and then it goes rogue, and then it makes other artificial intelligences, and then it makes other ones. And I don't see what's stopping some kid in his bedroom on his computer from just
Doing something.
developing. I mean, he'd have to be pretty good at coding, but from just developing one, and that's the end of the world. So, I hope you learned something, and I hope that was helpful. Well, we usually have to... We set out making this podcast vowing to come to a concrete solution on every topic that we talk about.
We sort of reach a conclusion.
It turns out that's a lot harder than it sounds.
We talk about... Oh, I'm at 9%.
Because it would be great if we could make these limitations, but who's going to enforce them, and what are they, and are they preventing future progress?
Robots... Well, no, he can't do that.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Like robots enforcing not to...
Not the Navy!
The robots are running the Navy. Oh.
Let me play a song on the world's smallest violin.
What kind of voice was that? Let me play you a song from the world's smallest violin. Da, 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 da.
Let me play you a song.
Let me play you a song.
Let me play. Where's that lady?
Where's that? I wish I could snap as good as Mr.
Yeah.
Well, he's been doing it for years now, so...
You've been doing it for years.
Snapping?
Yes.
Is this how you snap?
It is. Is this a Snapchat? Yes, it is. Let's come to a conclusion.
So, robots will eventually take all, most, if not all jobs of humans.
Good.
And...
Good. Is this mimosa?
Yes!
Buddy!
Holding a glass of mimosa.
Yes!
You made it!
You know how I feel about this, Bob.
You made some mimosa? It was on fire! Structurally unsound. It was coming down anyway. What?
Are you talking about?
Budget.
The question was...
You said... This is what you said.
Max and Ruby, Ruby and Max, Max and Ruby, Ruby and Max, Max and Ruby.
So, conclusion. I think... Chicas, I think...
I don't
Chicas, I don't think...
Freya.
Well, I think my position is on artificial intelligence is clear that I don't think we should make it self-aware. I think that's a lot more dangerous than it's worth. As for how to enforce it, I have no idea. You could use government regulations, but I don't really want to do that. I think it's kind of inevitable that it's going to happen because people want...
That robots will become self-aware.
Yeah, because people want... It's kind of like a cool fantasy, and people want, just to be able to talk to a robot that vacuums their floors and vacuums their carpets
And
and...
vacuums their
800,
vacuum.
588, 2300...
Today!
Now!
Right now! Go! 800.
So since we need a solution, my solution is just gonna be air conditioning. What about you?
Mine's gonna be space heating. Well,
So buttons.
Chicos.
I buttons.
Almost did it.
So that was a doozy of a topic.
Was it?
No, I
It wasn't.
lied.
Why would you do that?
I said. You said.
Houston.
Hugh Hefner.
Hugh Grant.
Hugh, would you
Hugh,
like
go.
some more mimosa? Come.
Would you care for more rubble?
Yes.
Ship crashes.
How's that for rubble? Is this Dash?
It was on fire. Structurally unsound. It was coming down anyway. You know how I feel about mimosa.
This is not about rubble. It's psychotic.
He's moving from the 4th grade to mimosa.
It's a ceremony.
What?
I'm not hungry for meatloaf.
I said shut up. Oh, my computer died.
Tony Reidinger. Stige. Äpplet. Spade. Unga. Spiegel.
Now, what do those words mean?
Ladder, apple, shovel, large mirror.
That's all you need to know to go to Sweden.
Well, I hope you
Tunga
learned something.
äpplet. Oh. Oh.
What is aw?
Oh, you.
Is that just like...
It's like yeah.
yeah?
Oh.
Ah.
Oh.
Ah.
It's like yeah. Yeah is yes.
Ja.
It's not ja. Nobody says ja. in
Toast is strudel.
breakfast. Yes.
No.
Toast.
Today.
Mimosa. Yeah. Any final thoughts?
Oh, any final thoughts? No.
Nope.
Any fun? No.
Any thoughts? No.
Today.
Tomorrow.